And then I'm gonna check my seatbelt. Make sure it's not cut, crack, frayed, dry, or bulging. I'm gonna click it and unclick it, make sure it's working properly. And from here, I'm gonna check my floor, make sure it's free of any debris. And while I'm down here, I'm gonna check my shifter and shifter boot. Make sure it's not bent, cracked, broken, missing nuts, bolts, screws. Check the hose, make sure it's not cut, cracked, frayed, dry, or bulging. Then I'm gonna check the boot itself. Make sure it's not cut, cracked, frayed, dry, or bulging. And then from here, I'm gonna check my windows on both sides. Make sure they're not chipped, cracked, or broken. They're clean and clear. And then I'm gonna check my mirrors. Make sure they're properly adjusted to my liking. And make sure they're not chipped, cracked, or broken. And they're clean and clear. And I'll check both mirrors. And then I'm gonna check my windshield. Make sure it's not chipped, cracked, or broken. No illegal stickers, and the inspection's up to date. Check my windshield wipers, or check my windshield wipers once it's on. And then from here, I'm gonna check my clutch. Make sure I have no more than 2 inches of play. Check my wheel. Make sure I have no more than 2 inches of play. And then I'm gonna turn my turn it to a safe start. I'm gonna let my ABS lights sweep and disappear. Then once that has stayed in safe start, I would do my left turn, right turn, and 4 ways. And then I'll do my headlights and my high beams. And then once I have done that, then I will start my vehicle. Once it's started, I'll let all my gauges increase.
Point it.
I understand. 1 second. And first, I'm gonna start off checking my oil. Make sure my oil is between 40 and 60 psi. And then I'm gonna check all my temperature gauges, make sure they're rising properly. And then while it's started, I can check my tachometer by just pressing on the accelerator. And then I check my speedometer on the road. I check my voltage. It should be rising between 12 and 14 volts. Make sure I have enough fuel for the trip. I'm gonna check my I got it. 1 second. I'm gonna check my air pressure gauges. Make sure it's between 100 and 125 psi. And once that has built up and my engine has been started for a while, I'm gonna check both my air horns and city horn. And then next I'm gonna check my defrost and heat. So make sure it's on defrost. Make sure it's working properly. And make sure the heat's working properly, both above and below. And then while we're started, we're gonna go and do our first test, which is our tug test. So for this tug test, we're gonna have myself in first gear, and then we're going to push in our white valve, which is our trailer supply. We'll push that in. We'll have our foot on the clutch. We'll slowly release it and have it tug, and that'll be a successful first part of the tug test. We'll pull it back out. I'm still having first gear. Have our foot on the clutch. We'll push in the second valve, the red valve, and we'll slowly release the clutch again and have it pull. And that will be a successful tug test, and then we'll pull it back out. And then for our second test, it's our brake service test. So the brake service test, we still have it in first gear. I can either perform this test or explain it. I'll push in both my valves and have it in first gear, and I'll roll at 5 miles an hour, and I'll make sure my truck does not pull it to left or right, and if it does, then it'll indicate proper not aligned correctly. with the brake and drum. And that will be our second test. Then for our third test, we'll have both valves pushed in. We'll still have it in first gear, but this time we're going to make sure our air pressure has risen to is between 100 and 125 psi for this test, because we will turn our key off to a safe start. And for this test, we'll make sure we have a timer out and we're ready. We'll have a timer and we'll go for 1 minute, and I will begin my brake integrity test once I step on the brake. So I'll step on the brake and I'll do it for a minute, and I can lose no more than 4 psi, and that will conclude that test. And then once we do that test, we're going to do continue the brake integrity test, and we're going to start fanning our brakes. And once they reach 60 psi, then our lights and beepers will come on, and then we will continue fanning until it reaches 20 to 40 psi, and then both our valves will pop out on their own, and that will be all of our tests successful. And then once we have completed all our tests, we're going to put it back in neutral, and then we're going to gauge our clutch and start our engine back up to allow our air pressure to begin rising again. And while it is rising, we will have our instructor get out of the truck and ask him to check all our lights. So first we're going to check our front lights. So that'll be our ID lights, clearance lights, our left turn, our right turn, our full ways, and our headlights and headlights again.
Headlights,
Then we'll check the rear of our tractor. We're going to check the left turn, right turn, and four ways. And then I want to have them check the rear of the trailer, and we'll have them check the left turn, right turn, four ways, ID lights and clearance lights, and then our brake lights. And that will conclude our in-cab.